Volkswagen's Caddy van has always rewarded buyers looking for the largest breed of compact van with a quality feel and a depth of design engineering often missing from obvious rivals. With a more efficient engine range, this improved version adds class-leading running costs to the mix, along with sharper looks and higher specifications. As a result, if you're looking for something Citroën Berlingo, Renault Kangoo or Fiat Doblo sized, it's a difficult option to ignore. Here's a van that's come a long way. The Caddy name does, after all, date back to 1996, when all it really offered business buyers was a Volkswagen Polo with a metallic shed bolted onto the back. Today's Caddy is very different, launched in 2004, but substantially revised at the end of 2010 to produce the model that we're looking at here, that's equally comfortable, depending on body style, in transporting either packages or people. As before, the remit of this Volkswagen of small vans is based around challenging the largest compact LCVs on the market, family hatchback-based models like Citroën's Berlingo, Renault's Kangoo, Fiat's Doblo Cargo and Ford's Transit Connect, but at the same time offering a higher quality feel and ownership experience. And it's a concept that has met with some success, especially since a larger maxi version of this LCV was added to the range in 2008. As a result, over 800,000 examples of the pre-facelifted version of this van still fill global business parks from Melbourne to Munich. Volkswagen, though, can't afford to settle back and enjoy such success with tough rivals, sharpening running costs and claiming higher levels of practicality. Hence the need for this improved version with its more efficient range of common rail diesel engines, sharper styling, improved specifications and added safety. Will it all be enough to keep sales strong? Let's find out. Settle yourself behind the smarter 3-spoke height and reach adjustable steering wheel borrowed from the larger Transporter model, and existing Caddy owners will find things much as before. Now, vans need to accommodate a much wider range of drivers regularly using the vehicle than cars do, so it's important that all the cab controls are intuitive and instantly easy to use, as is the case here. Twist the key, and there's the usual diesel rumble on startup, but once operating temperatures are achieved, then this Volkswagen goes about its business in a reasonably hushed manner, though the extent of that hush will depend a little upon the body style that you choose. On the move, refinement is much better in this bigger maxi model than it is in the standard Caddy, thanks to the larger variant's adoption of a fully solid, full height bulkhead. As opposed to the standard Caddy's half-height affair that's finished to the roof with plastic mesh. The driving position, well, it's reasonably commanding. There's a slick gear change, and the braking inspires confidence with its standard ABS. The Servotronic electric power steering is more efficient but slightly vague in feel, though that extra assistance does come in useful around town, where there's a tight 11.1 metre wall-to-wall turning circle. Under the bonnet, apart from the 109 PS 2-litre petrol unit used in the minority interest CNG gas-powered version, it's a diesel-only engine range and a much more efficient one these days. Though the top-of-the-line 2-litre TDI 140 PS unit is tempting, the reality is that most sales will be based around 1.6-litre TDI models, offered with either 75 or 102 PS, and available in either standard or frugal Blue Motion technology guises. The 102 PS variant comes with a pokey 250 Newton meters of torque, the same in fact as is on offer from one other rather intriguing option, the model I'm trying here, the 2-litre TDI 110 PS 4Motion. Yes, that's right, 4-wheel drive in a compact van. A useful thing to have if your deliveries take you to slippery building sites or along rutted tracks. Now, as with all Volkswagen SUVs, this 4Motion setup is based around always providing power to the wheels that most need it. And normally the power plant will pull you from the front through the front wheels, but should conditions change, in a split second the 4Motion setup can divert power to the rear wheels and stop power to any wheel that is losing grip. On the move, though, this vehicle still runs on the floor plan of an old Golf Mark V, handling is still assured, sharpening as usual as the weight you're carrying rises. In terms of performance, well, I'd have to say that the figures that you get from the entry-level 75 PS 1.6 litre TDI are rather leisurely, rest to 60 in that variant taking nearly 17 seconds. And for that reason, I'd counsel you to stretch to the 102 PS version of that unit if you possibly can. Rest to 60 here taking a far more acceptable 12.2 seconds on the way to an academic maximum of around 104 miles an hour, the same kind of pace as you'd achieve at the wheel of this 110 PS 2 litre TDI 4Motion model. For the record, the flagship 2 litre TDI 140 PS 2-wheel drive Caddy makes rest to 60 in 10 seconds on the way to a top speed of 116 miles an hour. For me though, as a van user, a more important priority than power would be ease of use, particularly when it came to my left foot. Statistics suggest that driving through a busy city, you'll spend around 90 minutes of every hour with the clutch depressed. That means around 222 clutch movements each hour, accompanying over 150 different gear changes, all of which builds a strong case for the optional twin clutch DSG automatic version that's offered to Caddy drivers and is available on the pokiest 1.6 and 2 litre TDI variants. What else? Well, a braked trailer towing capacity of up to 1500 kilograms is well within this Caddy's remit, and that's pulling power that's quite rare in this sector. The reasons why have much to do with this model's substantial mass. Gross vehicle weights across the range, after all, range between 2,175 kilograms and 2,350 kilograms. And that's bigger than most direct rivals, many of which don't even break the 2,000 kilogram barrier. Now, understandably, in such a practically orientated market, Volkswagen's designers didn't bother spending much of their improvement budget for this model on aesthetics, though the monobox shape does look slightly smarter these days thanks to the adoption of the sleeker front end borrowed from the larger transporter van, as well as from Volkswagen's Amarok pickup. Now, behind the wheel it's all neat and unfussy, with dark plastics prevailing on almost every surface, and an air of sturdy build quality thanks to the efforts of the Polish Poznan production line that's uncommon in a small van like this. Despite the fact that you don't get a proper glove box with a lid, storage availability around the cab is actually quite good, with a shelf here, dash top compartments on top of the centre console. You've got 4 cup holders and door bins that are large enough to accommodate a 1.5 litre drinks bottle and a road atlas. There's also what looks to be a potentially useful shelf above your head, though the rather shallow leading lip that it has would lead me to worry about its contents being deposited on my head during sudden inclines or in harsh acceleration. So paperwork and clothing will be alright, but if I were you, I'd put drinks, flasks, tins of paint and hammers in the door bins. Caddy prices sit in the £12,000 to £17,000 bracket, excluding the dreaded VAT. If you're looking for the larger maxi model that I've got here rather than the standard Caddy variant, then you'll need to pay a premium of around £1,250 for the privilege, model for model, depending on the engine that you're looking at. Now, as for competitors, we're comparing this van against obvious rivals like Peugeot's Partner, Citroen's Berlingo, Fiat's Doblo Cargo, Renault's Kangoo, Nissan's NV200 or Ford's Transit Connect, where you're probably maybe paying a few £100 more or a few £100 less depending on the competitor concerned, but there isn't a great deal in it, which isn't bad when you consider that this Volkswagen will probably be worth a little more when the time comes to sell it. Now, the most obvious Caddy body style decision to make is clearly to choose between standard and maxi shapes. If your business may often need to carry more than one passenger, you may also want to look at the Kombi variant. Go for the maxi model, and if your business emphasizes on carrying people rather than packages, then you've the option to consider a window van variant, which can carry up to 7 people with 2 seating rows behind the driver. That's also available in more car-like trim in Caddy Maxi Life form. Now, in both of those passenger carrying variants, both second and third rows of seats can be removed to return this Caddy to its more natural, capacious carrying guise. But whichever Caddy body shape you choose, with whichever 1.6 or 2 litre TDI engine, you should find that equipment levels cover most of the basics. So you get remote central locking, a 12-volt socket in the dashboard, an anti-dazzle rear view mirror, a CD stereo with AUX in socket, driver's seat height adjustment, and pleasingly a proper full-size spare wheel. Safety-wise, daytime running lights and ESP stability control now make it to the standard roster, alongside a driver's airbag and the usual electronic braking and traction aids. It's a pity though that you have to pay extra for a passenger side airbag. One nice touch you do get though is the way that the hazard lights flash under heavy braking in an emergency to warn following motorists. Now, if you go for the Caddy Maxi model, then you get twin sliding side doors and you get a proper full height bulkhead rather than the half height with plastic mesh arrangement that's offered on the standard Caddy model. And if you go for a passenger carrying version, then there are Isofix child seat fastenings in the rear. Right, let's start at the business end. Now, though the lifting tailgate that you get on passenger versions of this van is an option, most businesses will be quite happy with the asymmetrically split rear doors that you get as standard. They'll also like the relatively low loading height, anything between 560 and 594 millimeters from the ground, depending on the variant that you choose. These doors are 1,181 millimeters in width and 1,116 millimeters in height. So most of what you want to fit in should go in, as long as it's not much bigger than a standard Euro pallet. If it is, then you'll need to be looking at this Caddy Maxi variant, which adds 470 millimeters to the vehicle total length. Now that increases load space volume from the 3.2 cubic meters you get in a standard Caddy to 4.2 cubic meters in this Caddy Maxi variant, thanks to a load space length that increases from the 1,781 millimeters you get in a standard Caddy to the 2,250 millimeters you get in this Maxi model. Either way, whichever variant you choose, there's 1,550 millimeters of width side to side, narrowing to 1,172 millimeters between these wheel arches. And talking of wheel arches, it reminds me of scrapes and dents. You'll want to keep those to a minimum. There is some kind of token protective paneling here up to half height and on the doors, but it's no real substitute for a proper ply lining package. Now, the cargo area is easy to access too. This sliding side doors aperture width of 700 millimeters may not be quite enough to slide in a Euro pallet, but thanks to an aperture height of between 1,244 and 1,262 millimeters, most of the rest of the kind of things you want to put through should go in quite happily. Now, on the standard Caddy, you get one sliding side door, but if you go for this Maxi model, you'll find doors on both sides. So most of what you want to carry will probably fit, but what about weight? Well, payloads are slightly up on before, anything between 620 and 766 kilograms, depending on the variant that you choose. Now, to keep everything in place in transit, there are at least 6 retractable lashing eyes around the load area floor. There are actually 8 in this Maxi version. Should you forget to use them and your whole load slides forward, then you'll be pleased to have this full height bulkhead that you get on this Maxi model. On the standard version, you get a half height bulkhead with the top section finished in plastic mesh. Alright, so it's practical. But how will running costs add up? Well, with savings of up to 13% across the board, promised from the Euro 5 compatible engine range with its diesel particulate filter technology and more efficient Servotronic electric power steering, operators' expectations will be high. There's even an eco-fuel CNG biomethane gas variant that can also run using a 109 PS 2-litre petrol engine. This version has an operating range of up to 350 miles running on gas. Unfortunately though, due to the limited availability of CNG across UK petrol station forecourts, this model will probably remain a minority choice. Otherwise, in the diesel lineup, much depends as usual upon the variant that you choose. After all, this 2-litre TDI 4Motion model, the one I've got here, returns only 42.8 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle. But the 2-litre TDI 140 PS variant with two-wheel drive does do rather better, managing 47.1 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle. But most will be looking at one of the 1.6-litre TDI variants, and here you've the option of going for Volkswagen's Blue Motion technology package. Now, what this gives you is a package of efficiency improvements that includes revised gearing, low friction tyres, brake energy recuperation, and perhaps most importantly, a stop-start system that cuts the engine when you don't need it, when you're waiting in urban traffic or when you're stuck at the lights. Now, the result of all this are fuel consumption improvements of up to 11.7%, so you'll get between 3 and 4 more miles on average to every gallon than you would if you'd opted for a standard Caddy. That means combined fuel consumption figures that vary between 53.3 and 55.4 miles to the gallon, depending on whether you go for the 75 PS model or the infinitely preferable 102 PS variant. That'll give users a useful operating range of around 700 miles from the 60-gallon tank. To save you doing the maths, that'll mean you'll need around 36,000 miles to recoup the Blue Motion package's upfront asking premium. Go for it, and CO2 returns will also be better too, improved by as much as 10%, so that they can be as low as 134 grams per kilometre. As for service intervals, well, the more efficient TDI engine range means that Volkswagen's growing network of commercial dealers in the UK can offer what they call a long life service regime. Now here, a smart chip in the engine monitors the oil quality and can flag up a service reminder on the dashboard telling you when the oil needs changing. Now that means that service intervals can be anything from a minimum 9,000 miles to as much as 18,000 miles or every 2 years, whichever comes the sooner. And warranties? Well, a 3-year 100,000 mile package is standard, and 3 years of pan-European roadside assistance is also included. Now, Volkswagen has a very effective LCV lineup, and this improved Caddy is a key part of it. The load practicalities are sound, the styling is attractive enough, the interior has a real feel of quality about it, and it's good to see that safety has been further prioritised. Most importantly perhaps, the more efficient engine range now means that this van has a set of running cost figures that are right up with the class best. It's true that there are slightly bigger rivals in the compact van sector, but for most operators the 4.2 cubic metres of space offered by this Maxi Caddy variant will be quite sufficient, for many of them alleviating the need to stretch up to buying something Transit or Volkswagen Transporter sized. A quality choice then from a quality brand, as this Caddy sets out to prove good things come in little and not so little packages.